Paul McCartney may have spent most of his boyhood years as the only musical member of the McCartney family. Then along came stepsister Ruth. When her mother married Paul's father at the height of Beatle fame in 1964, she was just a toddler, but now, little Ruthie's all grown up. She's had every intention of taking center stage practically from the time she learned to walk. Having once been a child entertained by the piggyback rides of Ringo Starr and the bedtime stories of Mick Jagger, she's learned from the best of them, and she's landed some pretty big successes of her own overseas as a recording artist. I caught up with Ruth at her home in Woodland Hills, where she told me about her decision to leave Europe and make a go at performing in the United States. Ruth McCartney is obviously a household name overseas. And having worked so hard to establish the career that you did in Europe, having scrimped and saved and made sacrifices, why was coming here to the United States to start all over again from scratch worth it to you?
I love America. It sounds like a real hokey cliche, but it is the land of opportunity. I lived here for 5 or 6 years, and then I decided, well, hey, go and learn your trade, fall on your face in Russia, which actually didn't happen. I became, you know, Moscow's Madonna. And I'm about to go back again at the end of this year. And so I learned a lot, and I was able to rehearse and get paid for it in front of 2 million people, and now I'm back, and I'm bad, and I'm bigger and better than ever.
Better than ever is exactly what so many of Ruth's fans in Russia seem to have in mind as they grace her with flowers at every tour stop. But life with the McCartney name hasn't always been a bed of roses. Starting a career in music is obviously not an easy thing to do. And there are those who will criticize you, who will say, McCartney, well, she's obviously had it easy because she had brother Paul McCartney to help her out. What do you respond to that?
You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. People say, why don't you change your name? And I tried that.
And you did change your name.
Yeah, I tried that, I did that. And so then all the press articles would say, Ruth Williams, who changed her name from McCartney because she doesn't want to be... so your opening thing, instead of Ruth McCartney, comma, your age and your measurements, becomes an entire paragraph.
Speaking of the family genre, your style is obviously very different from Paul McCartney's. He's earned the sort of clean-cut boy image, and your stuff is a little, if you'll pardon me, a little racier. How did you go about defining yourself musically?
My mother was a piano teacher. She qualified at the age of 12 to teach piano. My grandmother was an opera singer in amateur operatics. My aunt was a ballet teacher and choreographer, as was I. So, I mean, even before the whole McCartney phenomenon thing started in the '64, I mean, even as early back as I can remember when I was 18 months old, the joke was, if you opened the fridge, Ruth would tap dance for 10 minutes. Anytime I saw a light, I was just such a ham. It was sadly inevitable.
Ruth is upholding her own name in her latest musical projects, which include her own publishing company, McCartney Music. We can also expect to hear from Ruth in an upcoming television show where she'll star as, guess who? Ruth McCartney. I'm Valerie Singleton reporting.